And
And we're back
by popular demand.
by popular demand. When was our last episode, Tom? Last week?
No, more like a year, 3 months, 10 days.
Basically last week.
Yeah.
Basically last week.
No movies have came out since then.
No movies have came out since then. Hollywood shut down. They basically said we couldn't come up with anything else to really release. We haven't had 17 Marvel projects since then. We haven't had 13 field DC projects.
Nope.
We haven't had a bunch of Netflix streaming shows, which were the most popular thing for 2 weeks and then immediately forgotten about. We haven't had anything like that. But we had to bring the podcast back because Hollywood finally came back because Tom Cruise said so.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise said so. Now, to be fair, Tom Cruise also came back last year with
with the Top Gun.
Top Gun
Maverick.
Rooster.
Rooster.
No, Maverick.
Big boy.
Big Boy Maverick.
Big boy
Top
fighter.
Gun Big Boy.
Pew pew.
That's the sequel. Top Gun Big
It's
Boy.
got finger guns in the title.
But no, we are here to talk about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning.
Part 1.
Part 1, which they, funny enough, usually whenever movies are a part 1, they won't put that in the actual movie. It's only for the marketing that they'll say part 1.
Mm-hmm.
But they made a very big point to go Mission Impossible, Finn. Dead Reckoning, Finn. Part 1. Now, to be fair, they fade out the part 1 before the rest of the title, but they still put part 1 in there, and I was like, nice.
It feels like they're starting to like change the name of their saved project.
Yeah.
Whenever they do like final 2.
That's what the very last Mission Impossible is going to be.
Yeah.
It's because they're going to keep going. Because apparently these 2 movies were meant to be the last ones, but now they're saying that maybe not. And Tom Cruise is like, I would like to keep playing Ethan Hunt after these, so I can only imagine that Mission Impossible, the last one, will be called Mission Impossible, the last one. No, for real. Final, the last one. ...
Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise died on set.
It's gonna be like a crow.
Part 1.
It's gonna be the Crow situation.
Yeah.
They're not even gonna like finish the film. They're just gonna release it half finished and go.
Yeah.
No, Tom Cruise.
This
actually,
is when he stopped.
No. When you see that like splat, that's actually him. That's actually him. He died.
He did his own stunts.
He did his own death.
He did his own death.
He did his own death. But no, before we jump into it, I've got a little blurb. Tom Cruise is back as Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible 7 Dead Reckoning Part 1 of 2. The IMF are up against their most dangerous foe yet, ChatGPT. Together with his friends Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames, Tom Cruise must stop AI from taking jobs away from the hardworking people of Hollywood, and also make sure he blows every Paramount executive's Christmas bonus to boot in Mission Impossible Dead Ringer for striking. Was that good?
That was very good. And it's far better than mine, which just says, Tom Cruise continues to make me appreciate good classic cinema, like The Color of Money. And that was my whole blurb.
There you go. There was a lot of Color of Money in this movie. Very inspired. What there was also a lot of in this movie was Tom Cruise back to his old tricks. Literally.
Oh, the magic tricks?
He's doing magic again. He hasn't done magic properly since the first Mission Impossible. You haven't seen any other Mission Impossible, have you, Tom?
No, I've seen Ghost Protocol.
The Brad Bird one? The Burj Khalifa.
Burj Khalifa, yeah.
Burj Khalifa. No, that's a good one. That's a very good one.
Okay.
Tom Cruise in the original Mission Impossible had a CD case with a CD in it, and he made it disappear. And that was the only bit of magic in there, but everyone always brings that up. It's like, oh god, we needed more magic. And you saw my reaction whenever he started making those keys appear.
Oh,
and
yes.
disappear. I freaked out as a magician myself. I love seeing well-performed little tricks in movies, and Tom Cruise did that very well. It's made all the funnier because I know that of all the stunts he did all the best stunts you've ever seen. He's a very talented man, but Christopher McQuarrie drove him nuts because he kept saying, Tom, I can see the key. We need to do that again. We need to do that again. Nope, Tom, can see the key. And what you see in the movie where he seems very like adamant with his movements, that's just him being frustrated as fuck.
That's anger.
He's very angry. He just wants to move on.
To be fair, I think he gets his own back then by having to do the big massive base jumping stunt like 6 or 7 times and threaten like the security of the entire production.
Oh, well, that's the funny thing.
Just to annoy the director.
That's the funny thing. As far as I know, that was day one.
Oh, it
That
was.
was the first day.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't know who. Maybe it's just because that's the time that they had, and they knew that they could only get other people. Because it's the only stunt where it only really requires Tom.
hmm.
Simon Pegg's in a car, but that you can shoot on another
Yeah.
day. That's the only stunt that really requires just Tom. So I'm sure they were like, let's just get this out of the way. This is the one we can do. But I believe it was Tom that kept saying, "Oh, I can hold on to the bike a bit longer. I can." He's like, he done it 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
I'd be doing that 0 times.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing it. I'd be like, get the green screen out, get ILM on the phone. They're gonna do the visual effects here. I ain't doing that, not one bit.
Get me into that holographic dome.
Scan my face, take my likeness, whatever it may be. Just put a digital double of me in there. I ain't doing this. It's weird that we've went through Hollywood history, and every time we see somebody falling, whether it be Russell Crowe in Les Mis, whether it be Tobey Maguire in the Spider-Man movies, every time we've seen somebody fall, especially in the 80s when it's like that terrible
Or
matte
like the
effect.
rear window fall.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Although
That one's fucking
that one's
hilarious.
awesome. You can always tell, you're not falling. Like to the point where they're not even really falling off anything.
Yeah.
It's like they've just painted them in there. And then you see Tom Cruise fall off a cliff. It messes with your brain a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because your brain expects there to be some sort of artifice, and you're looking for the artifice.
Mm.
But because it's Mission Impossible, there is no artifice. That's like I think the beauty of the visual effects in these movies is because you know so much of what they did is real. That enables them to go in with the visual effects and just paint out wires and
Mm.
put a hill where there's actually a ramp because you're not looking at that. You'd be looking for him to be CG when he's falling, and he
Yeah.
just isn't. Spoilers, by the way. We'll jump back around, but I just do want to bring up the train derailing, which to be fair, I think everyone knows the train derails. There was
Yeah.
a whole controversy about that of them not allowing them to do it, and then they eventually did it.
Oh right.
There's points of it where I was like, oh, maybe they didn't do it, but no, they actually did derail the train.
Ooh.
They actually did. Were you thinking the same? Where you thought, oh, that train derailing wasn't? They didn't actually derail that train.
Yeah. No, I thought it was because it was not too long after the big base jump that I was
Mhm.
like, oh, that was the big practical thing. That's
Mhm.
the cool thing. We'll fill the rest with regular CGI stuff. I didn't realize that was a actual derailment as well.
Yeah, no, they built a model train.
Mm.
Well, in this case, I believe it was true to life that it would have to be,
Yeah.
and then they just derailed it. I thought that stuff was the only thing. I thought you'd only be able to get away with that kind of stuff in the 20s and the 30s when you'd had Buster Keaton jumping in front of a train and doing all this mad stuff himself when health and safety there weren't laws on
It
film
didn't
sets.
exist. Yeah.
I thought you couldn't get away with like doing that, but I suppose Mission Impossible as a franchise is really Tom Cruise does mad shit.
Mm.
It's not you think of Christopher Nolan crashing a plane into
Yeah.
or a hangar. Yeah, it's a big thing crash into big thing. It's a testament to how impressive Tom Cruise himself is. That the derailment of a train is not the most spectacular thing. Any other movie,
Mhm.
that's your main go to. But in a Mission Impossible movie where Tom Cruise is doing all this mad stuff,
Yeah.
it's not even in the top 5
No.
most impressive things.
I do want to say, speaking of like top 5 best moments, I wanted to bring it up because everybody does talk about the base jump and it's phenomenal. Something you can only get with Tom Cruise, which is genuinely beautiful, is the point whenever he's in Venice and he runs from like one entrance out to the
Yes.
courtyard, and it is, I have to say, it feels like 30 to 40 seconds of an uncut shot,
It's an uncut shot, you're right.
and he just goes. And to be fair, like if you were doing any other film in terms of directing, you'd be like, oh, he's running to this. Oh, you'd show parallel action. You just show him running, and that just adds so much more to how intense it is.
I saw you flip out because whenever he starts running, you were like, all right, and then they just kept
They
holding,
kept it.
and he kept running full sprint, and I saw you fist pump the air like, come on, let's go, and it's that level of and there's a point in that just before the second act low point where Tom Cruise running is literally like he's on a race against time, and you feel it even though you look at him running and it's so weird whenever he started doing the runs in movies. He does have a pretty silly run. It does look a bit silly, but have you ever seen somebody do like the 100-meter sprint? Like they don't run like you or I would run. Like they
Yeah.
have to run a certain way, and he's running like a sprinter.
Eh,
It's insane to the point where Act One or end of Act One, whenever it was in the airport, and
mm.
whenever he had to like get up, and he just started running like around the big massive airport on the
Oh
roof,
yeah. I love
and
it.
it showed him running, and then the camera just zoomed out,
Mm.
and it showed the immense scale of it, and he wasn't doing anything insane. But I think it's more the thought of it of like, oh yeah, Tom Cruise would run from one end of this massive airport on the roof to the other,
Yeah.
and that's impressive. But to loop back around, Mission Possible: Dead Reckoning, it's the part one.
Mm.
It's a very satisfying part one.
Yeah.
It follows, it's this key. Everybody wants specifically two halves of the whole key. Funny enough, that is also the plot of Indiana Jones, the new one,
Oh, the
Dial of
dial.
Destiny,
Yeah.
because the dial is split into two parts. It's a very classic thing to have one thing split in two parts. Each each
I just
party
remembered
wants.
it also happens in Rise of Beasts as well. They have the transporter key or whatever.
Yeah, oh my god,
Yeah.
yes. That's a very strange.
Everything keeps being split in two.
The key is more to control this other thing, and it's probably the wackiest the Mission Impossible movies have ever gotten with their
Okay.
villains. The main villain of this is an AI.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about the AI that I found whenever watching it was AI can very easily become a really dumb villain in
Hmm.
the sense of like, oh, it has all the intelligence of the internet. You can picture somebody like Hal in uh
2001.
2001 um being this like personified idea of artificial intelligence.
Yes.
You can even think of like Vision is similar in that way
Yeah.
in the Marvel universe. That they have to make a personality around what this AI is.
Yeah.
And most of the time, because they're so smart, they tend to be fairly smarmy caricatures. Being like,
Yeah.
I'm so smart, I have the whole internet in my brain. There's something really enjoyable about the AI in Mission Impossible, literally just being like the equivalent of like a Mac OS screen,
Yeah.
where it's
It's
like,
like Windows Media Player.
yeah, and it just sits there and it's like, it's not really doing anything, but it's doing a lot of the stuff behind the scenes. And again, pairing that with a human villain
Hmm.
that has, without spoiling, I think, that has
We're
stakes.
we're in full spoilers now.
Aye,
That's
well, it's a person from
from Ethan Hunt's past.
past.
Not
Yeah.
not a past that we've seen in the movies, but from his time before the IMF,
Mhm.
before the first Mission Impossible.
But the reasoning for that as well, the idea that the AI chose that person
Hmm.
specifically because it was the best person to get rid of Hunt or the best person to be put in his way.
Yeah.
So it's not the idea of like the AI just started a partnership with a random guy that happens to know Hunt in some relation. The AI makes its decisions on, I think they'd even say like probabilistic cause, like the most likely thing to happen if this choice is made.
Hmm.
And that gives it a lot of like groundedness in a way. It doesn't do really silly things where it goes off the cuff being like, I'm AI, I know everything. Oh, I'm gonna make all the traffic lights red. And you're like, well, that's kind of dumb. It's more
It's yeah.
strategizing.
It's not like it doesn't feel like this AI is all knowing and all seeing.
Mhm.
It does feel like they do. The AI does have a limit at a certain point. Like
Mm.
they do. The Return of Kittredge. They bring everyone down to just a place where there's no internet. Like there's these monitors
Mhm.
and it's all analog, a completely analog system. And it's like okay, so it does have a limit,
Yeah.
but also it can't seem to be totally everywhere where you might feel like oh it can use a drone and it'll fly in and it'll be like
Mhm.
so ironically as much as I said it's silly, you're right, it does pull back to the point where the only time we hear it speak, it doesn't speak with a voice of its own, it speaks with Simon Pegg's voice.
Oh yes.
So as a villain, I really like the entity, and of course I love in the second act whenever they go to the nightclub,
Mm.
and then Cruz looks around and he's like, "Oh, this is the AI. All the screens and everything. That was it." And I think I saw you clock it about 20 seconds before they actually said it. I think
Yeah.
we're like, "Oh my god, it's the AI." The human bad guy, Gabriel, who I loved, who I just recently saw on Twitter. Somebody put a picture of the director Macquarie and him next to, and they dress very
All
similarly.
right.
And I love the idea of Christopher McQuarrie writing in a bad guy that is essentially a like a more smarmy version of him that just tortures the cast. And I'm like, oh, is that what you do with making them go through all these stunts? I thought that was pretty funny, but I like him as a foil,
Yeah.
mostly because he's just a bit of a mean bastard.
He's a big old meanie.
He's a he's a big old meanie. I think even Ethan says that he doesn't kill for any real reason. He just does it for the fun of it.
Yeah. Was it not something close to like he doesn't kill? He doesn't kill for power. He kills to suffer. Like
Yeah.
he kills people for whoever will cause the most amount of pain to someone like Ethan.
Yeah, even when he could just kill someone, he seems to get a kick out of like whenever he came into I think it was the police station,
Mm.
and he could have just killed that guy immediately, would have been
Yeah.
fine. But instead he says, "Oh, like like your wife, oh, and your mistress."
Mm-hmm.
He just wants him to like squirm a bit before eventually he just stab and kills him. So Isa, uh,
I'm not gonna be able to.
Asa Morales, I believe his name is. He's very flamboyant with it, and he works very well, and he also really leans into the hamminess of it.
Yeah.
So I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought he and he was.
Especially at the end with the
Ethan. Oh, he does a wonderful
That was
Dave
so
from
great.
Alvin and the Chipmunks. It's just a Ethan.
I love
I
it.
thought that was wonderful because the opening it opens with uh, food delivery.
Oh, the food delivery
The
bit?
food, yeah,
I thought you
'cause
were
the
going to
guy-
talk about the submarine.
you
Oh,
need-
yeah.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it opens with the submarine, which is a great bit.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to the food delivery, which my girlfriend Sam whispered over to me whenever the guy came in with the Uber Eats bag. She whispers over to me, "I don't think that's food." I had to keep myself hushed on that, but that was that got me. I'm like, I don't think it's food. Nothing is ever as it seems.
Ethan Hunt is just going back to the guy. I was like, I'm sorry, but I ordered a Diet Coke. This is a regular Coke. I know it's not your job to
Is
do
Ethan
that.
Hunt just handing out IMF memberships to Uber Eats drivers?
Yeah.
Welcome to the IMF. Can I just get $20, sir? I drove a long time to get here.
This is your mission if you choose to accept.
I don't, sir. It's not. It's. I don't accept at all. Please.
Would you accept it with a £2 tip?
The awesome power of the entity is that they can create ships and make them disappear and make them think that there's missiles coming towards them and redirect their missiles to them. It's a very good opening sequence to showcase how powerful this thing is, especially with a submarine. And it's good that they showed a submarine because a submarine is as isolated as you can get underwater. Satellite signals can't get under there. How is an entity able to do this underwater? It's a very smart thing they did there. And of course, then that leads to where they have to go is underwater.
Yeah.
Underwater is a very scary thing. So no doubt the next movie is going to be Tom Cruise holding his breath for 25 minutes. It's going to be all in one shot. It's going to be insane. And you're going to be like, oh, he's breaking the boundaries of physics. What's happening? Or he'll just die and that's how they'll end the movies. That's how he'll end his career.
I see both as a win.
I wouldn't put it past him. I really would not. I think Tom Cruise is like Tommy Cooper. I don't think he can imagine dying anywhere else than on a movie set. I think that's just where he's meant to end his run.
That's where he belongs.
Buried on a movie set. Just bring the building down on top of me. Bury me under all this cheap rubble. I'll be fine.
He died at the catering stand.
He died at the catering.
Turns out he was allergic to citrus.
You saw Ghost Protocol. Do you remember much of Ghost Protocol?
Nope. I remember the Burj Khalifa.
Burj Khalifa
That's
sequence. Most of the opening sequences of these movies are like a quick little snapshot. Like, in Rogue Nation, he hangs off the side of the plane. It's a pretty iconic shot. That's a very quick opening. This was a long opening.
A long one.
And there was a point where I was like, oh, okay, so I guess we're not doing an opening. This is new. It just felt very disconnected. Oh, okay, we're just kind of jumping. I don't know what's going on. It's taking me a bit. And then as soon as the gas went off and the guy gave Kittredge the mask so he could do that, and they took the face off and it was Ethan, all of a sudden, every little sequence, it all started coming together. It all came together, and they have their little their little talk, and it was classic. Because that was right back to the first Mission Impossible, all the Dutch angles. And then, of course, the great ending before the title sequence of Kittredge saying, "How are you going to get out of here?" And he turns around, and the mask has now become Kittredge's
Yeah,
face.
he's like, oh,
It's like, oh no, that's how he's going to get out of here. And the Kittredge is like, of course. It's like when you fill out a Sudoku puzzle, and you're like, oh, of course it's that. How could I? Duh. I like that.
we have
feeling.
different experiences of Sudoku.
We have got. Oh, do you?
I never have a moment. I was like, oh, duh. I'm like, what are these numbers?
What?
What are these numbers? I don't get it. I filled them all in, but I
Wait,
don't know if that's
wait,
a right
wait,
answer.
no. Well, Tom, it's because you're filling them in with numbers.
Wait, what? I don't hurt my brain.
A lot of people have brought up the inspiration of a modern blockbuster on Mission Impossible, but also your Buster Keatons, your Charlie
Yeah.
Chaplins, those kind of action sequences where it's not just the intensity of the stunt, but
Mhm.
it's also the little
The
comedic
comedic
moments.
setups and payoffs from.
Because especially in our theater, like people were laughing.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it was especially during the car chase, and the fact that they're able to still have those comedic moments while also doing all of this practically.
Mm.
Where they are doing that car chase, I believe, is the same place that they do it in
And
Fast 10.
Yeah.
And they also try to do a lot of comedy in the Fast 10.
It is
And
not the
but it's
same.
it's all on a set, it's all
It's all ad lib.
I'm pretty sure they weren't even there
Yeah.
in the real location for most of it because they were getting chased by a giant flaming bomb.
Yes.
But which, to be fair, I think this is the interesting thing is that Fast and Furious is so over the top where they have this big bomb chasing them and there's that whole thing. And then the simplicity of Mission Impossible is no, it's just real cars driving in a real city. Even the little thing of having them handcuffed together, genius. Really, really genius moments. Even the little thing of Tom Cruise nearly getting run over by the train and then he comes out and the police are coming and he's trying to look like not suspicious
Yeah.
while he's handcuffed to a steering wheel and then he grabs the steering wheel and he tries to think about how to look not weird and he's like I don't know how.
It's great.
Do you have any other I suppose big moments in the movie up to that point?
Not really. I feel like we've covered the main ones. No, I feel like once you boil down, just again, they said like the Buster Keaton style for a lot of setups and payoffs, I think is the funniest bit. And as we said with Fast 10, Fast 10 could be like ad libbed. So they're like, oh, we're going to do this set piece. We've got actors on set. Say something funny. Maybe we'll add it. A lot of the funniest moments in Mission Impossible have to be intentionally directed.
Yeah.
Like in the airport where the guys are running to catch Ethan and they turn around and be like, where is he? And the way the camera's panned, you just see him running on the roof of the airport.
Yeah, you can't just
you can't
add that in.
ad-lib that.
Yeah, no, that's an intentionally thought of moment of, well, I'm going to be running on the roof. Okay, well, we can cut back to these characters,
Yeah.
and you can see, and it's that level of linking
Mm.
in a live action setting where you've got $300 million and you've got all these actors' schedules. Oftentimes, it can just be put it in front of a green screen, get this line, get this shot, and then the editing just kind of has to you have to shove it in there anywhere you can. And sometimes it can be like cranking it in there where it's if it fits maybe we've spoken at it at length. I think the first thing we notice in these movies now is just the editing. It feels like they're not leaving space for shots. It
Yeah.
feels like they're cutting to shots. They're not breaking little things like 180-degree rule. It's not that. It's that they're not cutting with feeling. They're not cutting with any sense of logic. They're not cutting to what you feel like you should be seeing
Yeah.
next. It's just cut, cut, cut. Editing is the first thing I believe that will disengage you from something
Yeah.
because there's no rhythm to it. And I think what's beautiful in the Mission Impossible movies is that they work like music. Not only do they have fantastic scores, but just the editing of them is they'll use an action beat. They will use sound design. They will also use jokes, wide shots, medium shots, extreme close-ups. They will use them all in their bag of tricks to create this rhythm.
Yeah.
It all just fits together wonderfully, and you're not thinking, oh, well, that's a bit of CG that doesn't work, and oh, well, that line wasn't that funny. It doesn't matter because everything works together so well. I don't think anything exemplifies that more so, and I think it could be a short film. The train sequence doesn't end with the crashing of the train.
Oh yeah.
You think it's going to end with that. You think that's going to be the big climactic set piece, but it's not. It is I believe Mark Kermode brought it up perfectly, where they do a thing and then another thing and then another thing and another thing, and then they do that 8 or 9 more times. And I believe he said that he was just digging his
Yeah.
nails into the side of his chair because they keep doing it. And essentially, what it is whenever the train derails, and only a bit of it ends up derailing and crashing,
Mm.
the rest of it's kind of hanging off. But then, when just due to leverage, whenever one carriage kind of ends up hanging,
Yeah.
then
Pulls the rest.
it drags the next one up and down. And Tom Cruise and Haley Atwell, although all the outside stuff is CG, obviously they're not going to put them in that much danger. Uh, the inside of the train, they're in a kitchen cart at one point, and there's oil and fire and flames, but they're climbing up it, and then there's a piano that's that use of cutting with extreme close-ups of the clip of where the piano's attached,
Mm-hmm.
and it just keeps going and it
Yeah.
keeps going. That should be studied. Perfect sound design, perfect use of music, perfect use of shot choice, perfect use of humor where she just can't let go and he has to keep taking
Yeah.
her arms off him. Such a perfect combination of elements that all fit towards that whole. And again, the train crash was a wonderful spectacle. But what does Hitchcock say?
Words.
Well, yes.
I don't know what he said.
Hitchcock says that, yeah, no, if you have a 2 minute scene of two people talking in a diner and then a bomb goes off, that's about 5 to 10 seconds of, whoa, a bomb went off.
Yeah.
But if you show the bomb under their table and then pan up and then the 2 minutes goes, that's 2 minutes
Mm.
of tension, of
Yes.
you on the edge of your seat. So the train crash, 10 seconds of, oh my God, that was impressive. And then it's
It's like 5 minutes.
5, 6, 7 minutes of just, oh my God, just be safe, just
Yeah.
be. I think you saw me at one point just go, okay, we're done, please
Yeah.
stop. Please stop.
Yeah, to add to that feeling, like as you said, Kermode was like digging his nails into
Yeah.
into his seat. I felt whenever that sequence was over, tired in such a good way,
Mhm.
like I had been climbing up those carts with him. Because again, like in a standard film, you would do maybe one of them, and you'd be like, "Okay, I'm at the top," and they're like, "Okay, they did it," but no, doing it again and again and again. The same it ties back to the running. I said near the start, like continuing to push that as far as you can really gets the most out of your audience,
Yeah.
and the audience gets the most out of the film. Like um, it's a perfect amount of uncomfortableness that's satisfying for us to watch. Again, compared to any other standard action thing where like you could watch an entire planet blow up and you're like, schmeep schmop.
It's easier just to have an action scene and then have one moment of, oh, he's gonna fall. Oh no, fine, and then continue. But to be able to build that up for, again, 5, 6, 7 minutes, it's difficult. So I think audiences instinctively appreciate it because they don't see it that often. They don't see it that often because it's difficult, and it's easier just to not do that. So the fact that they choose, again, to wrap it back around to what we said in the beginning, the fact that they choose to focus on that and have the big expensive train derailment
Mm.
be not even in the top 5 things that are instantly like, oh wow, to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if people, even though they're climbing up a derailed train, they forget there was a train crash.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. They spent all that money. And them fighting on top of the moving train, to me, is much more, oh my God. And them climbing up, which is a set, for
Yeah.
sure. They're climbing up a set. But that to me is more thrilling than the derailment of a train. I think that's like, you put that in the trailer, you know. That's impressive, but I like the fact that that's not the most important thing.
I think I brought it up to you once we left the theater.
Mhm.
There was like shots of him on the motorbike that were more impressive because at least from like my background of generally knowing like behind the scenes
Yeah.
film, I I I could understand exactly what rig they used to frame the camera in that position, like the type of like having
It
having the
looked like a
pole.
GoPro almost.
Yeah, it looked like a GoPro, and me understanding that like this is not a CGI shot with a hypothetical virtual camera.
Yeah.
This is clearly attached to the motorbike, and that's clearly Tom Cruise on the motorbike. I was like, it adds to it.
They did that in the previous one, Fallout, where you could tell they just, again, the cinema version of a GoPro, they hung that off the side of the helicopter, so that whenever you see Tom Cruise jump on the helicopter as it's taking off, you go, no, that's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
That's actually happening. So whenever you see things look like that, as you say, you go, oh yeah, well, they would have made it look better.
Yeah.
And they do it in the car as well. They do it so many times, and it's just so nice. Just to kind of bring this up, Tom, who was the YouTuber that we watched recently who had a video? It was on Nebula.
Yeah, the Jacob Geller talking about Pirates of the Caribbean.
Jacob Geller brought up that there have been movies throughout time that are the most expensive ever made. In his opinion, even though it's not the most expensive movie ever made anymore, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End deserves to be, because it's a film that looks like every single penny is on screen. And to me, whenever I watch Dead Reckoning, $290 million is on screen. Because it's not just the realism of it, it's that there was time, there was effort, everything just fits together so wonderfully. It feels like they took their time with it. It feels like everything, there's callbacks. I'll just say one word: lighter.
Oh, yes.
First, second, and third act, beginning, middle, end, to have these through lines, to have these callbacks, to have this element of cohesion. And movies don't have that anymore because they're written by 17 people, because they have to be done in a year and a half. And these Mission Impossible movies have never felt like that. They have felt like labors of love. They have felt like they take their time and they're done when they're done. And that is so important. At the end of the day, this is Mission Impossible. This is practical. This is crazy stunts. This is Tom Cruise baby that he will, I don't think, ever give up on. I don't think we're going to see it stop anytime soon. I think he's going to be in his 70s, and I think he's still going to be doing this stuff. And you know what? For as long as he feels like he can do it, by all means,
Yeah. Go nuts.
Go nuts. Go nuts.
Oh, yeah. No, well, after all that, Dead Reckoning, I give it a 6 out of 10. All right. No, of course. Highly recommend. That was a great film.
It's so nice to be able to go and watch something and just go, oh, that just all worked. It all worked. It didn't feel, that was great, but there was no buts. There was no buts. There was definitely no buts. There was none of that. No, that's except Tom Cruise butt. You saw.
I was waiting for that.
You saw Tom Cruise's butt a few times.
I had that on my bingo card.
You had that on your bingo card. There you go. What will Jack say? Butts. Tom Cruise butts.
Tom Cruise butts.
Big juicy Tom butts.
It's the only square.
Is the only.
I got a bingo.
You got a bingo. But no, that was Mission Impossible. That was another episode of Hecklin Hollywood in the bag. What have we learned today? Tom Cruise is the absolute goat, and fuck you, pay your staff.
Yeah.
Pay your fucking Bob Iger, pay your staff. David Zaslav, pay your staff. Everybody else, pay your fucking staff. You absolute leeches.
Everybody else watching, subscribe and like the video.
Yeah,
that's how you can make your mark. To two people who are sitting in their room, still in their pajamas. I assure you, there's a reason this is audio only.
Tom, we have shown people the true meaning of Christmas.
Yes,
and that
it's
is
Aquaman.
And that is no, it's not Aquaman. It's that buy Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 on 4K Blu-ray. Don't buy the fucking DVD. Stop buying DVDs, please, or they'll keep releasing only DVD editions. I want my Succession on Blu-ray at least. Please. HBO, please, I'm begging you, please. Just a one Blu-ray edition. I'm begging you.
And cut.